Hello, apps here from Dimp Digital. Welcome to the official Dimp Digital Kickoff Show for 2020. Now, we started Dimp in 2014, so it's now entering its 6th year of operations, which is crazy. And this particular podcast is just an update on some of the changes we are making and a few other bits and pieces, some new shows that are coming, what we've been up to. So it's worth just listening to this. Hopefully it won't be too long. Hopefully it'll be a little bit entertaining as I babble through it. But you will be getting, if you're not interested in any of this garbage, you will be getting the Fantasy Gaming League draft show later on today. So keep an eye on the feed and you'll be getting our fantastic draft show, which is always excellent. And that'll be returning on this feed later on today. And obviously if you're listening to this historically, you've probably just found that and you're already downloading it, looking forward to it. It really is a cracker. It's a long one, but it is brilliant. So just looking back at 2019, I mean, it was a great year for us. For the first time ever, we actually had some money coming back into Dimp. Previously, we've invested in things like website hosting and servers for that, and the podcast feed that you listen to this on is a paid, subscription that we have to keep up every year. So we've only ever put money into it. Just it's a hobby. It's something we enjoy doing. So in 2019, it was great to have some money come back in, and this money came via Twitch. Sort of an unlikely source, really, when we first started, and that was through the subscriptions that you can subscribe to a channel on Twitch, and that eventually ended up with money back in our pocket. So if you are listening and you have a Twitch account, if you go on Twitch, if you don't even have a Twitch account, maybe you just want to support us, you can subscribe to our channel and we will benefit from that. The channel name is obviously Dimp Digital. It's always going to be that. Better yet, if you're not a Twitch member, but you're an Amazon Prime member, so if you pay for Amazon Prime, you can link your Amazon Prime account to a Twitch account, so you'd need to set that up if you haven't done so already. You can subscribe to our channel for free. It does not cost you a single penny, and we will get some money out of that. So win-win. Can't say we'll do something sensible with the money, but we will get some sort of benefit from it and we'll be eternally grateful for you. But if you want to know how to do that process of setting up Twitch, setting up Amazon Prime, linking it, just get in touch with us via Twitter, Facebook or Instagram. We can walk you through that process. It's really straightforward. And who knows, you might subscribe to us for a month and find someone else you want to support, and then you've already got it set up. And you can just click the button every month and subscribe. So speaking of streams, we did some last year. Probably our heaviest investment of time in streaming was in 2019, but we fell off the wagon, to put it quite bluntly. I do personally want to try and commit to doing one stream a week. I enjoy it. It's good fun. And I'm playing video games anyway, so I kind of think, why not stream them? But my biggest problem really is a selfish reason, is that when a quote-unquote proper video game comes along, I like to just play them on my own without the distraction, because chatting on the stream can really take you out of the moment. So you're not going to be seeing me personally playing through The Last of Us Part 2 on my first run through, because I just want to play that game, be invested in it, and experience that myself. Now, what you might see is a second run through many months down the line, and that's something I'd like to do, certainly, depending on assuming the game is as good as we think it's going to be. But the first run for me on many video games it feels like a pure kind of selfish, interaction with the game. I want to keep that, and also for review purposes, it helps because I'm not distracted. I'm fully focused on the game. But there are plenty of games that don't fall into that category, so not every game is on the same pedestal as a Cyberpunk, as The Last of Us Part 2, as a Witcher 4, or whatever the next Witcher game is if we get that. So there's always something. There's other games out there. I've got a long list of games that I've not played that I'm happy to stream first time, and games that I have played and want to go back to. So once a week is what we're looking to do. We'll obviously keep in touch via our social media channels. Twitter's usually the best one for that because it just feels a little bit more immediate in terms of, okay, we're going live in 20 minutes, that sort of stuff. So keep an eye out for that, and you'll be up to date when we go live and stream. Fantasy Gaming League update. So just going to run through last year's winners and a really, really brief preview of what you're going to start listening to later on. So last year's winners, we had the solo league winner, which was Mark Smith Biff. He was last in the draft order. So last year they were drafted. The order in which the solo league people could pick games was determined by the order they were picked for the team game. So Hall and Paper picked who they wanted on their teams, and that was a draft in itself. And Biff was picked last, so he was only ever going to get his sixth. Potentially there was 5 other picks before he got his first pick, which put him at a huge disadvantage. But he won out. Terrific performance from him. 745 was his score. Maybe we'll see higher in the future, but that was enough to get him over the line in 2019. And hats off to the man. I mean, it's not without some controversy, which I'll save for the draft podcast, which will be coming later on today. So make sure you listen to that to find out exactly what happened there. But Biff's the solo league champion. Who would have thought it? The Dimp Digital Fantasy Gaming League champion, i.e. the winning captain of the tournament, was Paper. He knocks Hall off top spot for the first time since we went sort of professional with this, since we had the captain, and the team picking order in there. He got 839 against 703, so it wasn't really that close. Hall did have one blank game. I think it was Doom Eternal. So that was always going to play against him. But even without that, if he got 100, he still would have been well off the pace. And another great fact for Paper, every single game that was on his roster, so the team that he picked and that his team put together, all scored above 80. That's going to take some beating, in terms of the highest scores ever. So check our results show from last year for the Fallout. You'll get to see that, and it'll be... it's good comedy because Hall and Paper have always had a bit of a rivalry going back, so always good to see that, and everyone enjoys hearing Hall eat some humble pie. It seems very popular within the Dimp ranks. So Paper's now known as Le Champion, and he will defend the title against Biff, who's been promoted from the solo league into the main event, which is the one that everyone wants to win. Speaking of the money that we receive from Twitch, instead of spending it on beer, which I was planning to do, a day out or something like that with the guys. A, it's a pain in the arse trying to organise that, and I didn't do it. And B, I kind of wanted everyone to be there, so trying to get availability nightmare, all that stuff, and it just faded away, and it was just sitting in an account somewhere. So what I decided to do was spend that money on designing a custom-made championship belt, which is now Paper's. So that's the Dimp Digital Fantasy Gaming League championship belt. Paper has won that. It's his to keep for the next year. Also got a solo league trophy for Biff. So he has that. He has the solo league championship Biff. He will hold that for a year. There is a Dimp Digital Gaming Quiz Shield, which sounds better than it sounds when I was explaining like that. But Adkins has that, so he gets to keep that for a year. And then finally, also got some medals, some personalised medals designed for the team winners of the Fantasy Gaming League. So those that are on Paper's team all received a medal to show they were part of the winning team. So the money didn't go on the beer, like I said. It went on awesome prizes for the competitors, and they are awesome. Check our social media channels to see what they look like. I'm really impressed with how they came out and the work that was done by JC Trophies on a lot of that stuff. And yeah, fantastic stuff. Really impressed and glad that the money went somewhere rather than down the pisser, basically. So some changes that are happening. Only one real minor change, and it's review score changes. Surprise, surprise. The one thing that we've never been able to keep for more than 2 years, it seems. There's always a tweak or a change and whatnot. So one of our most regular bits of content is our game reviews, famous for their long-form structure, as well as ill-informed insight and mistakes. So people love that just because they probably laugh at how wrong we are or don't agree with our opinions. But we are making a minor tweak to how we score the games. So previously, it was a 1 to 10 system, no decimals. You either got a score of 8, you got a score of 9, you got a score of 10, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. That's all you had. You either got that score or you didn't. And after it come up a couple of times during the reviews, if you listen back, there's a couple of times when our regular reviewers like the Adkins and the Adcocks of the world and the Logans have have mentioned that it would have been an 8.5 maybe. It would have been a high 8, a mid 8, rather than just an 8. And hearing and consulting with those guys, listening to fan feedback, that's what we've decided to do. We've decided to introduce the option to add a 0.5 decimal. So now you may see a score of 8.5 rather than just 8. It just gives us a little bit more agency over where a game sits in comparison to others, makes our jobs a little bit easier, gives fans maybe a little bit more of an insight as to where it sits in the rankings. And it's the same system that Easy Allies use. They went from a 5-star system to that. I think it works well. Who knows? We'll probably fucking change it next year because we always do. Moving on. New shows. There's a few one-off shows that are coming. There will be a Game of the Year for 2019 show. How that's structured, how that looks, I don't know. We have a way of sorting who's going to be nominated and who's going to be the winner, but how that will be presented to you, I'm not quite sure yet. Same with our Game of the Decade show. There will be a Game of the Decade covering games released in the 2010s, and the games that will be released on there will be similar, I imagine, to the Game of the Year show, but that will be coming sometime early in 2020. I don't agree with the outlets, and I've said it time and time again, that do Game of the Year, Game of the Decade before the year's finished or before the decade's finished. It annoys me. Give people time to play what they need to play, get a proper look at the games that came out the previous year, and put the show forward. That's what we're going to be doing. And we have mentioned it in-house so many times before, but we do really want to set up a Dimp Digital Hall of Fame. So at least I'm hoping to get one show, some entrants, the class of 2020, whatever we call it, to go in this year, which would be great. Looking at fantastic video games from all the way back up until what we have now. So look forward to those shows arriving at some point during 2020. Dimp Retro. Not really a new show, but we will be adding old content that was on our historic feeds. So eventually everything we've ever done in podcast form will be on this Dimp Digital Unplugged feed. I didn't really think of this until someone said, I've just listened to your 2019 quiz show. I want to listen to 2016. I can't find it. I thought, well, they're on YouTube. Not realising that, people do listen to audio stuff on YouTube, but a lot of people don't. And also not realising that this is now our third different feed that we've used. We've changed the name of the shows. We've gone from the Dimp Digital Podcast to Idle Game Chat, back to Dimp Digital Unplugged, which was kind of, I wanted to take the game aspect out of it because we're covering a lot more than just games these days. So this is our third and final feed. All the old stuff is gone. It's on YouTube if you want to find it, but in terms of a subscription or a historic kind of bank of what we've done podcast-wise, it's not available to people now. So I'm going to be working on getting that content back and posting it on this feed. So you'll see a Dimp Retro show. It'll say what the show was called. It'll have all the old stuff, and it'll be going back all the way to 2014. So there could be some really interesting bits and pieces on there in terms of predictions, or how bad our opinions were. It'll either show how far we've come or how far we've fallen in terms of how it's produced and our skills as podcasters themselves. So it's going to be interesting. And yeah, every show, every review, every quiz we've done will be going in this feed, and you'll get it randomly whenever there's a gap to fit something like this in. When we've got nothing new for that week, Dimp Retro will appear, and you'll be listening to old stuff, and I think it'll be good for people to listen to. Really, I think it's going to be great. 2 new shows. WrestleCast. That will be a show that I'll be doing. I'm hoping WrestleCast. Let's just explain what WrestleCast is. It will be a intermittent look at the world of professional wrestling. I'm not going to do it weekly. I'm not going to do it bi-weekly even. It might not even be monthly. But I've been watching a lot of wrestling lately. So I've got a show planned for 2020 recapping what I have been watching. That includes New Japan Pro Wrestling. That includes NXT, AEW, and NWA Power. I'm going to have a look at all 4 of those shows and what I think are the good, the bad, and all that stuff. That's coming at some point in 2020. So that's going to be a show that's going to be coming as and when I feel there's something to speak about, or after a certain period of time I might decide to do it. I'm hoping to try and get a Paper like on board, because Paper's been in and out of the wrestling bubble like I have been since we were younger. And I put him onto AEW when it started on Dynamite in October, and he kind of watched the first episode, then fell off. But I received a message from him earlier this week saying, I've just watched the last 2 episodes of AEW Dynamite, and I'm really enjoying it. So perhaps there's something we can do semi-regularly there with that. It'd be good to have a guest on now and again to talk through what they've been watching. So that's one show that's going. Then we have WrestleCast Retro. We're liking the retro name this year. This is my promised pay-per-view reviews of the WWF Attitude Era. So I have recorded and edited 12 shows of that. So every 1998 pay-per-view, I believe, I don't think we've got any 97s in there, but every 98 pay-per-view has been reviewed. I've recorded it. I've pissed around with different systems on how to do it, so there's different structures to each of them. I've been very drunk on at least a quarter of them, so God knows what I've said and what I've enjoyed on those shows. But they're coming. The WrestleCast Retro Season 1, should we call it, is ready. 1998 is done in the can. Again, find a place to slot that in. Minimum, I want to see that once a month. You know, it'd be good to have it once a month, sort of in line with when the pay-per-views go, typically for WWF, which is once a month. But that's coming, and I'm in the process of producing and recording Season 2. So WrestleCast Retro is coming, and it's something that's ready to go. We're just going to fire the gun and fit it in when we can. Finally, website updates. So many of you know Chappers is our webmaster, and he has overhauled the Dimp Digital website, dimpdigital.com, and it's insane what he's done. He's a genius. He honestly, the man is a genius. He has created the best version of our site we've ever had. We have so many different bits of information. We've got an about page with people that are part of the clan. We've got a list of games that you can scroll through and just see some information about. We have obviously our podcast feed, which is always going to be sitting there. We have accolades, which shows our previous winners to, you know, the Fantasy Gaming League and the quiz and other awards and bits and pieces like that. We have information on the draft, which, you know, you can keep up to date. They'll automatically update, which is great. And there's also a part for us to complete. We, as Dimp Digital members, will sign in and we can put our review scores, our personal review scores, on a game. So when you click on that game page, it will show you the Open Critic score, which is what we use typically for our Fantasy Gaming League. And then it'll also show how many of us have played it and the score we gave it. And it will then give an aggregated score of what Dimp Digital as a whole thinks of that game. It's great. It really is fantastic. I can't recommend you guys checking this out enough. It really is superb. I mean, I'm just looking at NBA 2K20. We've got Chappers and Hall says, and you've got a little comment from Chappers saying, you know, what he thinks of it. The score that they've given, Chappers gives it a 6.5, Hall gives it a 6, and then our average is 6.3. Really impressed with what Chappers has done. And honestly, if anyone needs a website done, I don't know if he's got the time. I'm probably committing him to stuff that he can't do, but what a fucking lad for doing that. It's brilliant. I'm really impressed and pleased with the website. So dimpdigital.com, check it out. And over time, I'm hoping more of the Dimp guys are using it and it gets refined, and there's lots of information on there for you guys to check out. That's it though. That'll be calling to an end this kickoff show. Not too long. It doesn't look like, sort of 20 minutes or so, what I was aiming for. As I said, the Dimp Digital Fantasy Gaming League 2020 draft show will be dropping later on today. So if this is the first notification you've got on the feed to say, you know, the podcast is back, it is back. This is just a precursor, and you'll get some proper quote-unquote content coming later on today with our draft. And I look forward to presenting to you more bits of information, more podcasts and other bits and pieces that we're doing throughout 2020. Hope you all had a good festive period and a happy new year. and we will see you in the coming week. So, as always, check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's always at Dimp Digital. Dimpdigital.com is now a place for you to go to. And you can listen to us on YouTube if you choose, or any good podcasting app, including Google, including iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, every single big hitter. We are there. So, find us, review us, rate us, do whatever you want. Interact with us. We're here. I haven't got a life. Well, I have, but, I've got a bit of spare time. Let's just say that. I waste my time, is what I've discovered over the years. But it's fine. I enjoy it. Anyway, as usual, I'm babbling. Thanks very much for your time. And ta-da.